already, and welcome back to another episode of the Comics Run the World podcast. As always, I am your host, Orion Sky Comics, aka Mateo, and as always, I am accompanied by
Woody, dude, how are you? What is up?
pretty good. I've been kind of invested in all things Spider-Man right now after seeing Across the Spider-Verse for good reason because that movie was really, really damn good.
Yeah, yeah, same here. I'm reading a Miles Morales run right now because an omnibus is coming out, which I'm through like issue 12, and I've already decided I'll be buying it. Um, and I think I'm probably just gonna read it all the way through digitally and still buy the omnibus. It's the run by, definitely mispronouncing, it's Saladin Ahmed. Um,
I know,
he
yeah,
he just got announced to be writing the next Daredevil run. Um,
nice,
and his run is really good so far. I've really enjoyed it through about 12 issues or so.
sick. I read his Black Bolt. I think he did Black Bolt. I read his Black Bolt miniseries, and that was really good. So definitely have
Oh
to check out.
yeah. I heard he had a really good Black Bolt. His Miles run that I'm reading right now runs for like 40 some issues.
Damn.
Um, but also I know at the end of his run he has one of the most trash Miles Morales suits I've ever seen. But the run itself, the run itself has been good so far.
That's awesome. Have you been besides obviously Across the Spider Verse? Did you see anything, playing anything like that?
I'm still playing Zelda. I've got to beat Zelda before I. After I beat Zelda, I will plat both Spider-Man games. But Zelda's just got the priority. But besides reading, that's really what I've mostly been doing in my free time. I've just kind of been obsessed with that run so far. So
Nice, nice.
I've been reading that and playing Zelda, and that's about it. What about you?
Reading wise, I've been reading New Gods by Jerry Ordway. It's basically a sequel to Jack Kirby's New Gods run, and then I'm also reading Black Panther by Christopher Priest. I'm on issue number 5, and it's really pretty damn good right now. I'm loving
It's
it.
it's really unique too.
Yeah,
I didn't finish it. I forgot what I got distracted by, but it's a really like unique.
and Black Panther is brutal in
Mm-hmm.
this. He's crazy in this, and I mean, it's different from what we saw in the MCU, obviously, but I'm loving it. I'm loving this version of Black Panther.
I think that run is the first introduction to the Dora Milaje. I
I
think
think so.
that's when
Yeah,
they were created, and that was also during the Marvel Knights era. So it was when it was a little darker and
yeah,
grittier, and um, yeah, that run's good stuff. I haven't finished it, but I definitely will at some point.
yeah. Speaking of platinuming, Spider-Man PS4, that's what I'm doing right now.
Are you?
I'm 98% done. I did the main story, the 3 DLCs, so I just got to play New Game Plus. I'm doing New Game Plus right now on Ultimate difficulty, which I gotta be honest, because I played the first run on like normal difficulty, and between normal difficulty and the hardest difficulty in Spider-Man, I can't tell a difference honestly.
Really?
It's like it feels the same. Is that nothing's like harder than what it already was? So
Just because you're him at this point,
yeah,
you're really
literally Miguel O'Hara, Spider-Man 2099.
you are. I saw a TikTok where somebody was like, "Me as soon as I see Across the Spider Verse," and he goes quickly to Spider-Man and puts on the Spider-Man 2099 stand.
Yeah, I just saw that like 2 hours ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. Alrighty, so I mean, let's just cut to the chase. Let's talk about Across the Spider Verse.
Yeah, I mean, dude, I was speechless, dude.
Yeah,
Like, I'll the first thing I'll say is like I don't even really want to be like, oh, which one's better, because like I think they're both 10 out of 10s. Like, spoiler, I'm giving it a 10 out of 10. Like, I think they're both 10 out of 10s, and they both are just literally perfection. So like at this point, if I had to put one above the other, I'd put Across the Spider Verse above it. But like it doesn't even really matter to me because they're both so perfect. And
yeah,
so because I've already seen a lot of discourse like which one's better, which one, and I'm like, can we just
yeah.
appreciate them, like that we even have the two of these movies.
Exactly.
So
Personally, I'm kind of in the same boat where like I really liked Across the Spider Verse, but uh, again, it's a 10 out of 10, but we haven't gotten the full story yet. It's part one of two, so it's kind of hard to like judge it because it's only a section of like the whole story. Unlike with Into the Spider Verse, it has a beginning and end. Um, but yeah, I think they're both on the same level at this point. Maybe with Beyond the Spider Verse coming out March of next year, it will definitely be amazing.
Yeah, I mean that is true. Like if I have full faith in them, but let's just say if they fumbled and completely
Oh
ruined
god,
the third one, it would affect Across the Spider-Verse. Like it
yeah,
would make it like it's the same with any movie that does that. Like Game of Thrones, I think is like a little different to watch because you know what happens in season 8. So, um but for now, like 10 out of 10, I thought I've never been I've never been so blown away by a movie in the theaters. I was
right.
like audibly not that loud because I'll also get to that, but um literally like laughing towards the end. I was like, this is like the greatest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah. um yeah, I know one way that it could butcher the whole series, and that's Spot is not the actual villain, but
Oh,
he's working for Moreland.
he
If that
was
happens, I'm walking out the theater immediately.
he surprised me. I thought he was gonna kind of just be like a little one-off, and that's the joke in the beginning that he's
Right.
just like a little one-off villain. But he's a multiverse destroyer by the end of it. Like,
Yeah. His theme and
mhm.
like the movie was incredible.
Dude, the first one had such a good soundtrack, but this one I feel like stepped it up 500 levels. Like
Yeah.
the like oh my god, dude, at the very end when like it's the climax and like it's
Yeah.
showing like Gwen get the spider team together, the music that was playing, I was about to like jump at
I feel that.
like, the animation was like
It's
already
great.
amazing in the first one, but
It was crazy in this one.
dude,
Yeah. So I kind of want to go. I have a lot of notes on Across the Spider-Verse because this is
let's talk about him.
crazy.
Let's talk about him.
So just kind of like things. Same thing with Into the Spider-Verse. It starts off with it was approved by the Comics Code Authority,
I
which
love that.
I love that. I liked how in the beginning we get a lot more of Gwen and her backstory and like how she works in her own respective universe and her involvement with the Spider Society. I really liked, and I liked how the animation and the art design for Gwen Stacy's home dimension is like kind of watercolor based.
The art is really really cool in her dimension, and I kind of checked out some images because I was like, damn, I need to read some Spider Gwen.
Yeah,
I saw her. She has an omnibus coming out, and an omnibus that was already released. And the omnibus that was already released is like the first one, and the art kind of looks similar to that first omnibus. It's very like watercolory, very
like the
pastel.
covers.
Yeah,
Yeah, definitely. Speaking of like that and like Gwen's home dimension, the vulture is like a Renaissance vulture, which I really like the design of it. I liked how whenever he would fire a weapon, there's like the Renaissance sketches and like notes like floating around him and then like shoots. I really liked that. I thought like super unique.
so many details like that that didn't even really have to be there. That
Yeah.
just make the overall experience that much better.
Yeah. And I kind of I don't know. Miguel O'Hara's intro in this movie was so cool, especially with the theme.
Yeah.
I'm having his theme like on my playlist right now.
It
It's
kind
like
of it almost reminds me a little bit of the Prowlers, but like
yeah,
you, it's different. But
I really like it. It's like I'm I'm him.
I'm
That's
yeah,
gonna be like the meme right now on like TikTok and everywhere. Like I'm literally Miguel O'Hara. It's like him like, just like brooding everywhere.
yeah.
um, Another like little detail that I really liked was the editor's notes. So whenever like a new Spider-Man would pop up, there's like an editor's note above them saying like what Spider-Man they are and what from and like what Earth they're from. And I liked it. It was more prominent with Hobie, where like he says like a British slang, and it says editor's note. This means that, and then like and then I just It's like those little details that like from the comics onto like
Yeah, yeah, it's
Spider Verse.
so
It's awesome.
it's so cool. It's so cool. He was hard to understand sometimes.
I could
He
barely understand him.
he was tough to understand sometimes.
I saw
Um,
this was a compilation on TikTok where it's like a bunch of like basically all of his moments in Spider Verse with subtitles. So like I watched it, I was like, oh, that's what he said.
Dude, what's funny is at first, before he even shows up, I hated him
No, really.
because I mean, we kept hearing like, oh, like she's crashing with Toby, and I was like, dude, don't mess with my boy Miles. Like chill out there, Hobie. Like, but once he came on the screen, I was like, oh, I love him, and he was
Yeah.
awesome. But I was like, whoa, like
Poor
Gwen is
Miles.
that's Miles' girl, bro. Like, back off. Like,
Yeah. Um. So yeah, Hobie was great. I'll talk to him a little bit more later on, but I want to talk about like the spot and how he blew my mind.
yeah,
Absolutely blew my mind. It was crazy because like at first he was like a gimmicky, jokey character. He was hilarious. He was trying to rob like an ATM machine. Um, but then when he goes to, like, to the super collider, and then he just turns like a full on multiversal menace,
yeah,
essentially.
yeah. It gets really trippy when like it shows like his dad pretty much like
Yeah,
foreshadowing his dad. Also, people have already spotted out how like I don't know when it happens, but it's when he's explaining that he got the spider from another universe. It shows the spider about to bite the Miles from Earth 42, I think,
yeah. I
and then
saw
it
that. Yeah,
like
yeah.
goes away. And so that's why it went to Miles in Earth 1610 or whatever, because it was
Hmm.
supposed to bite Miles in. So I thought that was it's like
Yeah,
impossible to catch if you're just watching
yeah.
the movie.
It's like
But
half. It's like a split second you miss it.
yeah,
Uh, Speaking of which, I saw this video on TikTok where it shows Miles and his uncle and like the subway doing like the spray paint, and you know how they outline Miles with like the white spray paint and like it's like the black spray paint in the interior, how that is like resembling Spot because it's like the same exact thing. The
yeah,
silhouette, they the graffiti on the subway,
huh.
same exact thing when the Spot turns like inverted colors and stuff like that. So I thought it was a really nice
I mean, he was great here. He's also, I think he's a great villain for Miles because
yeah.
Miles is already is tied to the multiverse just because of like Ultimate Spider-Man and stuff like that. So he surprised me. Spot was a huge surprise for me. I thought he was going to kind of be like a joke and not
Yeah.
really be in the movie, but he's a big part of the movie.
It's crazy how huge he is, and I'm very excited to see what his role is in Beyond the Spider Verse and how all of that plays out. Um,
I do think he will kill Miles's dad. I don't
Most
think
likely,
Miles will
yeah,
be able to stop it.
yeah. Um, that's gonna be. I feel when that happens and Beyond the Spider Verse and Miles just goes completely like ballistic. I feel like that's gonna be like one of the greatest like fight scenes
Yeah, I mean,
in like comic book movies.
I have a feeling the team that made like this, I feel like most times when you do stuff like this and you make a part 1, part 2, they probably already have the second part like the
Yeah,
main plot like realized. They probably already know what's going to go down. That's what I'm saying, like I fully trust them. I fully trust the second movie's going to be great. And that's just my theory. I think his dad will die,
yeah,
but he'll
definitely. Because
have
I know he dies in the video game, right? In Spider-Man PS4, he does
yeah.
die. Yeah, so I kind of want to go into the Easter eggs because there's a
Yeah,
lot of Easter eggs.
there are a lot.
First things first, I kind of want to start with Lego Spider-Man. I thought he was awesome, and I just learned today that it was actually that whole sequence with Lego Spider-Man was animated by a 14-year-old and his dad.
What?
Yeah,
Really? That's
uh huh.
awesome.
I thought that was like incredible, and because like I mean, I grew up watching like those like Lego like Batman, Spider-Man videos on YouTube. So I thought
Stop
that was like,
motion, yeah.
yeah. So I thought it was a nice little cherry on top.
That's
And
really cool.
I like how consistently throughout whatever dimension they're in, whenever J. Jonah Jameson speaks, it's J.K. Simmons
Yeah.
through and through. So I
He
feel
is he is truly J. Jonah Jameson.
yeah, I think that's awesome. Kind of was it it's like that. Like, oh, it's this the singular constant through like the Spider Verse is that J.K. Simmons is J. Jonah Jameson, which I
Yeah.
love. What else we got? Live action Spider Man. I didn't expect Toby or Andrew make a cameo. Now it's not really a cameo where like them like record new stuff. It's like clips of them when Uncle Ben died, when Captain Stacy died with Andrew Garfield Spider Man, which
To-
still I really liked.
but Toby's was like you could like kind of miss Toby. He's in like the
Yeah,
top left of like these little spheres. But dude, the Andrew cameo is like
up
it's like
close.
him in the main frame. I literally was like, dude, I was like, what?
Yeah. It's I thought it was pretty cool, and it's a lot of people are saying it's weird how like they're kind of focusing a lot more on Andrew than on Toby, which I
But
mean,
that's because they were talking about the captains dying,
yeah,
and that's like a big moment in. I think that's why, because it was about like it. We kept talking about captains passing away, and so obviously it's going to be Andrew. But I like that they did show Toby, and also besides the reference to Spider-Man No Way Home when he's talking about like that little idiot in 1999, I forget what it is, but they're looking at all the villains, and you can hear Doctor Octopus from No Way Home go,
yeah,
"Hello, Peter," and I was like,
yeah. Is that
"No
that was
way."
when the I think that was when Miles was like running away from all of them, and like I guess he bumps into a Doctor Octopus and just says hello, Peter.
I remember. It was he's running through what looks like it's like a shooting range, probably a practice range for
Yeah,
Spider-Man, Spider-Woman, and it's like the Rhino popped up, and then Doctor Octopus pops up, and then it goes, "Hello, Peter."
yeah. I thought it was great. Speaking of which, one of the cameos that I thought was really cool was Donald Glover, Childish Gambino as the Prowler.
Dude, do you know how far that like how crazy that cameo and how like how much history it has?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
I was like, what? There's no way.
Like he is the reason Miles Morales exists as a character.
Yeah.
He did this thing where supposedly I wasn't paying attention to news at the time, but around the time Andrew Garfield's movie was coming out, he was kind of campaigning to be Spider-Man.
Hmm.
Obviously Garfield got it, but my Brian Michael Bendis admitted that his inspiration for Miles was pretty much like Donald Glover trying to like be the live action Spider-Man. And so in Into the Spider-Verse, Uncle Aaron, the Prowler on his TV, it's showing the thing where Donald Glover's trying to be Spider-Man. Like he had
Hmm.
it was something he did where he like had on a Spider-Man shirt and was like
Okay.
it was a trend. And so Into the Spider-Verse it's showing that. And then obviously in the MCU we see him as basically the Prowler talking about his nephew Miles, whatever.
Yeah.
Um, so like he's the reason Miles Morales exists as a character, and now we're seeing him in this movie as pretty much the Prowler, and it's like it's just full circle. That's just so crazy.
Yeah. And I love how they interacted with each other. Where Miles was like, "Hey," and then the Prowler's like, it's rude to stare, right? I thought that was great. Obviously we got Spider-Man PS4, which was awesome. I was like, oh, so cool. We also got Spectacular Spider-Man, which is great. I think I got really excited for that one because I've been watching Spectacular Spider-Man for like the past month and a half or something. I think I'm almost done with the series. I know it's only like one season for some reason, but I'm almost done with the series, and I saw him in there, and I thought it was great. Um, Lastly, I thought it was cool how Mrs. Chen from Venom was there.
Also, the old school Spider-Man like swings at him, and
Oh
it's always
yeah,
like da-da-da-da-da, like
yeah, dude, the 1960s Spider-Man, and like
yeah.
how he pulled a muscle, and he just like was just there in midair, like, oh, I'm pulling a muscle. I thought that was
I
awesome.
I've seen on TikTok I don't know if it's photoshopped, but I hope it's real. I feel like it's fake, but supposedly
Oh, I think I know what you're talking about.
the popsicle.
Yeah, yeah. Dude, I saw that today too. I was like, I really hope that's real to have the popsicle there.
I hope it's real. Also, they have a Spider-Man plushie chasing him.
Yeah, I
It's
saw
just
it.
like a plush toy.
Yeah, I saw like the corner of my eye, like the plushies like swing there. Um, Speaking of like the different variations of Spider-Man, I like how each of them have their own designs and animation. So like Spider Punk has a really unique design. Uh, Spider-Man PS4 is three-dimensional, just like he is in the video game. Spectacular Spider-Man, exactly how he is in the show. 1960s Spider-Man, how he was just one image. um, and obviously bringing back again Spider Gwen's home dimension, and we can see that later on when she goes back to her dimension and rekindling with her father. How the the coloring is like all like is like dripping down like
Yeah,
watercolors, and like how like when they're about to hug, the background is like keeps changing and shifting, kind of like what I would speculate like their internal conflicts with one another. How he believes that she killed Peter, but again also not. But he's like really conflicted about that. And then like once they hug, everything's like all back to normal. Everything's colored the way it should be, and I thought that was really nice.
yeah.
Um,
I think once I think he knows she didn't do it at the end.
yeah,
Like he has to know. You know, Peter wouldn't do that. Also, did you know the Peter that becomes the lizard and that dies is oh, what's his name from the boys? It's
Jack Quaid.
yeah, that's
No
Peter. Yeah,
way!
yeah.
Oh shit, that's awesome. I did not know that.
Um,
Um,
I I'll get into like this is very nitpicky, and I don't even think I'm really right, but this is kind of a negative. I thought Spider Punk's like you were just talking about his like art style, animation style. I thought it was kind of distracting sometimes. I thought it was like kind of too much. Like he was just so drastically different the art style from everyone else that I feel like he kind of stuck out like a sore thumb sometimes.
yeah,
Again, that's very nitpicky. Like I get it. I it's kind of cool, but I feel like sometimes he just stuck out a bit much.
yeah, I get that. Yeah, because that's one of the things that was very prominent is his art style essentially.
Yeah.
Um, so I do understand where you're coming from. I kind of want to talk about Ben Riley's Scarlet Spider-Man a little bit, and the fact how he's the way I interpreted him was like a satire with like
Yeah.
90s comics and like over explaining everything, like especially like towards like the end of the movie where he's explaining like the walls to his left and his right and like the portal in front of him. I thought that was hilarious. I
That
know a
was the
lot
part I laughed the most. I laughed the most. I was dude, I thought that was the funniest thing ever.
yeah, because like I just because that's like well, not really a complaint, but something that I always notice with like reading older comics, where like they over explain everything, and like I like it how they poke fun of it with uh Ben Riley, Scarlet Spider, with him being involved in like a very convoluted, messy Spider-Man
Yeah.
event with the Clone Saga. So I thought it fit really well. A lot of people didn't like how he was kind of like a joke, but I get it. I understand. I thought it was pretty funny.
I would agree with them if he had a prominent role, like
Yeah,
if he was like a prominent character in the story, but he's not. So it's just some comedy. Like I thought it was hysterical. But like
yeah,
I guess I kind of if you're like a huge Scarlet Spider Ben Riley fan, like I could see it as being maybe disappointing. Like for example, I was hoping for Spider-Man PS4 to get a little bit more involved, but
yeah,
at the same time like that just wasn't his role in the movie. He was just like a side character at best. Like he really wasn't there all that much.
yeah. And I feel like he would have a more prominent role in Beyond the Spider Verse. Honestly.
I think he probably won't even like I think he'll have much less of a role in Beyond the
Oh,
Spider-Verse.
really?
Cuz I think now it's going to be Gwen's Spider Crew versus the small spider crew of I think it'll just be probably Miles and Jess versus Gwen's spider crew, and maybe we'll see some more from 2099's crew, but I think it'll be a lot smaller in scale. Like we won't see all those spider people again.
Yeah. Um, I totally agree. I feel like Spider Punk will be in Miles Morales' group too, since he helped him out towards the end of it.
Yeah, he's there. I think it's
Hmm.
the original at the very end. I think it's the original crew from the first movie. Like Spider-Man Noir shows up again. I was like, yes, dude.
Yeah.
Spider Ham. It's all of them, and then Spider Punk, Spider Man, India, and I think that's all of them. They're the two additions to the first
Hmm.
group from the Spider Man. India was also great, dude.
Yeah.
He was the guy from Deadpool in the taxi.
Dopinder. Yeah. I love that, and I love his design a lot. I know it's not the same as it is in the comics, because in the comics it's just a normal Spider-Man outfit with like the baggy pants. But I like his like very artsy, very colorful design in this, and I really loved how his like wrist things are also like yo-yos.
That was
I thought
so
that was
cool.
I thought that was super badass. Like it
That was
looks
my
really
favorite
cool.
thing about him. Yeah. I will say this doesn't matter, but I couldn't help thinking it. Having the hair show out, that's some pretty prominent hair. People are going to recognize you. I'm just people are going to figure out your secret identity pretty quick with that hair.
Yeah, definitely. Because like it's really fluffy and like out there. So like unless you like slick it back or like tie it, you're gone, buddy.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That
But
is if like his home dimension survives whatever's going on. Because you know, like there's like that portal engulfing the whole place. So who
yeah.
knows? Um so I know when we read Spider Geddon, we kind of like had like a list of like characters we wanted to see. Like how we both wanted to see Spider's Men in the movie. I didn't see him in there.
I didn't see
Um,
him.
but I did see the Cowboy Spider-Man web slinger there, and I was like, yes. I was really excited for that, and like I love how his guns were like web shooters, and I love how the horse even had a mask,
Yeah.
and like was it Miles said like, why does the horse have a mask? I thought that was great. Was there any like spider variants that really stuck out to you that you really liked?
um man, it's tough. I love that there's a Metro Boomin Spider-Man. I think that's pretty
Yeah,
awesome. I don't know, like there's so many. I don't think I have one specifically that stuck out to me. Oh, another one that's going to be in the crew at the end is that VR Spider Girl. She's with them at the
that's
end.
right. Yeah. I wonder if she's like original for the movie or like has comic affiliation. I don't
I
know.
have no idea.
Um, yeah, I feel like more like a lot of these are like original design, like originals, like the ones like in the far back.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely,
I,
definitely. There's probably a lot of originals.
yeah. I really liked Lego Spider Man in it. That was really funny.
I like how
Uh,
Spider-Man 2099 goes. He's like, "Thanks, Peter. You're one of our best."
yeah, yeah. Speaking, I kind of want to talk about Spider Man 2099 now, and how great of like not a villain but as an antagonist he is, because he's like the brooding one. Peter B. Parker makes fun of him for being all broody, and like when he's like going like the platform's like going down like super slow, and they're like, yeah, it's this thing.
Yeah, he's very, very different from what he is in the comics,
Yeah,
and this is a very, very, very different interpretation of him. But I think it worked. I think it was really great. Um, yeah, like I, again, like maybe like with Ben Riley, if you're like a huge Spider-Man 2099 fan, you might not like this in a sense, but I don't know. I thought he was a great antagonist, and my favorite thing about him is that he's not wrong. Like
yeah,
he's he's doing the right thing, like pretty much.
yeah, and that's kind of like what makes him like a really cool character, because like I know there's like most antagonists who like they view like their purpose as like the only way to do it. But like with him, with 2099, it's like real. Like if
Yeah.
you go and stop your father, then the integrity of the multiverse is gonna crumble because it's a canon, as he says, is a canon event. They need to happen, or else the integrity of the multiverse starts to to collapse essentially, which I thought was really interesting.
Yeah, we see it with the Spider-Man India's universe. I mean, maybe it'll be somewhat changed, like in the next movie. Like maybe that was just Spot or something, and
Yeah,
Miles will be like, "No, like I'm gonna do it my own way." And but it definitely seems like he Spider-Man 2099 is right, and that's why I think it's so great because you can understand what Miguel is doing, but obviously you can understand what Miles is doing. Like if someone tells you your dad's gonna die, you're not just gonna let it happen. So
right. Like even with like the stake of like the multiverse collapsing, it's still not an easy like a choice to do because like it's your dad, but
yeah,
it's also the fate of the multiverse at stake if you do save your dad. So
yeah.
that adds like that adds like a lot of tension that we're gonna see play out and Beyond Spider Verse. Um, I I see a lot of people complaining how Peter B. Parker doesn't have like a prominent role in this, but then again, like
I
you can
feel
understand
like
why.
yeah, I like there was they announced a while back that like Spider-Man Noir wouldn't be in it and stuff, and I know there's a lot of people mad about that, including me. But if you look at the bigger picture, this is a two-part movie, and
Yeah,
I think we'll get a lot more of them next movie. I think it's going to be more of a tight knit story with like them trying to go help save Miles, and then try and save his dad or save the I don't wherever that leads. But like the moment, just the moment between him and Miles when like he's like, I wanted to have this baby because of you, was like one of my favorite moments in the movie. Like
yeah.
that was just that moment was so great. And yeah.
I really like that moment too, especially with like when Miles says like, "Nah, I want to do it my own way." That I thought that was pretty sick.
Dude,
That
goosebumps.
was
That part is so
yeah.
badass.
I
And
love
they
that one.
like I love how like they're like he doesn't even have a plan, but he Miles, dude, Miles is just
His
a man. He's a man.
he's really well written and it's crazy and I just love like how we get more of his like family life in this and like how the tension between being Spider-Man and you know the responsibilities of being a normal kid trying to get into a good college with his and spend time with his family, him missing his dad's speech for getting promoted and all that stuff like adds like tension but also like some more like familiarity to like some people who can relate to something like that, which I really liked and
I
I
also
kind of
love
like.
that because what were you gonna say? What were you gonna say?
Oh no, you can go ahead.
I was just gonna say I love that because like that's always been like the main thing with Spider-Man. Like he's missing, MJ's play or his dad's
Yeah,
speech or stuff like that because he's out doing Spider-Man things. And I that's just like that classic Spider-Man that I love and seeing moments like that.
yeah. I kind of like Gwen's and Miles' relationship in this because it's kind of like here or there in regards where like they obviously miss each other, but when like they're together, it's kind of like awkward in a sense because like I know in the beginning, this part made me cringe super hard. Where Gwen Stacy opens the action figure from the box, that like the
Uh,
collectible, I was like, oh no! I was super because like I think I have like one that's still in the box. All the other ones were like on display, but like that's just like the one that I just want to keep in the box. And like the fact that Miles kept it in the box for like years, and she just rips it out of out of the box. I was like, oh my god, no. Um, but I liked how she knows like what's gonna happen, and like at the end, Miles is like, "You knew this was gonna happen," and she was like, "Well, yeah," and I was like, "That's crazy," and like how like she everything's like flipped upside down for Miles at this point right now, where like he doesn't know what to do. All the twists in this movie was pretty insane. How Miles was the original anomaly, how he
yeah,
wasn't
he wasn't
supposed to
supposed to
be.
be. Yeah.
I thought I was like, oh shit, and then like just keeps adding on and on. Miles getting transported to the spider's original dimension and seeing himself as the Prowler. was insane. Um, and you can see like New York in like fire on fire and like in different parts, like smoke and fire. And I thought that was crazy.
Yeah, there's no Spider-Man, so and I mean it makes sense. Like he was supposed to be the Spider-Man there, but and he got Peter killed because he
Yeah,
was. So I mean, yeah, the twists were so great and they're so well written and it was just perfect. I thought everything was perfect. Like I really have no complaints. Like I can nitpick and say like I didn't like Hobby's art design, um, and stuff like that, but I don't know.
a lot of people saying it runs a little too long, and I kind of want to get your opinion on that. On would you agree or disagree?
I completely disagree. I don't agree at all. I will say because I knew the movie was going to end on a cliffhanger. I thought it was going to end like once or twice before it did
Yeah,
because I was there's a part 2 coming, so and I knew that there was going to be a cliffhanger. So there was a couple like one I can't remember specifically where I was like, "Oh, it's ending." And then it kept going.
yeah,
Um but no, I don't think it ran too long at all.
yeah. I didn't understand that complaint because, and also this is just me. I don't really understand the complaint of like how people say it like ends very abruptly. Um, I just feel like it's a part one of two, and I feel like since they stopped marketing Across the Spider Verse as a part one, because you don't really see like across like Spider Man Across the Spider Verse part one. It's just like Across the Spider Verse, and even though it was originally announced as a part one, people obviously like either didn't pay attention to it or just forgot about it. I feel like it ended off in a really solid cliffhanger and like at a really good point, and that's kind of the purpose of a cliffhanger to like end off right when like something's gonna
Yeah.
happen.
Like it's the same with Infinity War kind of.
Yeah,
Like it's a cliffhanger, but I do think the movie's complete. Like I don't know. I would rather this than sit in the movie for 5.5 hours. Sit in the movie theater for 5.5 hours. Like I saw
yeah,
someone say that. Like I'd rather a 5-6 hour movie, and it's like, dude, no, you would not. Like that's way too long.
yeah, yeah,
You're saying that because it was so good and you just want to see it end, and I agree. I want to watch Beyond the Spider Verse right now, but
yeah.
that's just not possible.
And I mean, luckily, Beyond the Spider Verse comes out in less than a year, so there's that.
Yeah, I think that is important. Same thing with Infinity War and Endgame. Like we couldn't have a 4 year wait. Like
Yeah,
if you're gonna do this, I think it needs to come out in a timely manner.
yeah. There's one thing that I kind of want to a Spider-Man cameo that I want to see in Beyond the Spider Verse that wasn't in Across the Spider Verse was the '90s Spider-Man from the
Yeah,
'90s animated series. I want to see him because he's the OG.
he
He's
is.
he is the Spider-Man animated that I grew up with. I grew up watching his '90s run series.
That's what
Um,
I grew up with that.
I want to see Spider's Man eventually. Um, was there Cyborg Spider-Man in this? I don't
There was this
remember.
huge hulking. They have
Yeah,
an action figure of him. This huge hulking spider thing that would shoot, and he was kind of like
yeah,
a cyborg guy.
he was cool. Who else? Superior Spider-Man. I don't think I saw Superior Spider-Man in this.
I don't think I saw him either.
I know that the producers held off a lot of the Spider-Man or Spider people that they're going to implement in Beyond the Spider-Verse. So I'm excited for that. And yeah, I love this movie. I thought it was great visually. I thought it was flawless. Essentially,
Dude, the animation
it's
was
crazy.
it was so good in the first, but I can't even do it justice explaining it. It was so ridiculously good. Like
Yeah,
I can't wait to get the 4K Blu-ray and play it on my TV as soon as it comes out.
yeah. It's like it's not a movie that you can like watch it bootlegged on like TikTok Live or anything like that. To get the full experience, you have to watch it in the theaters, and like it's
That brings
so
me
good.
Oh god,
Oh
that brings me
God.
to my point.
Oh no.
This was the worst thing about the movie here. And I have talked about this before. Movie theaters, they're being ruined. They're being ruined. People are so annoying. I had I had this issue. I've already talked about it, I think, with Black Panther, where this guy was like I mean, this is the worst I've ever had, where the guy was like, yeah, and like, I mean, he was like laughing and saying stuff out loud. But this time, I went to a late showing. I thought I would avoid all this, but both the people on the left and the right of me drove me nuts. The guy on the right, he laughed hysterically at just any joke that happened, to the point he laughed so hard at jokes that he would start coughing. Like, he laughed literally his like it I couldn't hear sometimes what they were saying on the screen. He was like like, like just like, and then both the people on the left and the right would, like, I don't know, they would say something. I can't give an example, but like, he would out loud like be like, "Well, it's a leap of faith," and I was like, "Dude, like, stop! Like,
Yeah,
please stop!"
they
Like,
think out loud and shit like that.
a lot of like the quotes. Oh, I remember one specifically. I remember a lot of the quotes from the trailer he would like say out loud. Like, the Metro Boomin spider was like, "Oh, there is somewhere to run," and he said that before he said it in the movie, and I almost said something like
Oh my god.
like out loud. He was like, "There is somewhere to run," and I was like, "Oh." And every time Miles's mother would say something in Spanish, I guess one of the people that left to me spoke Spanish, because the girl would go, "What did she say?" And I was like, just watch the movie." I wish
I would
people
I would have said something. I'm like, shut up. Like, get the fuck.
I,
Like, oh
I
my
wish
god.
people would just shut their damn mouths. Like,
Yeah.
and I want to also say, like, I it's okay if you laugh at a funny thing. Like, I'm
hmm
not saying you can't laugh at a joke, but like, to the point where you're wheezing and coughing, like, it these weren't even the funny jokes. Like, these were
Yeah.
I'm just I'm sick of these theater goers.
I kind of
Um,
had a similar experience, but it was it it was annoying, but it was also pretty funny.
okay,
Where
okay, okay.
whenever Gwen Stacy would pop up and like her and then like the Spider-Man uniform, so I would start barking.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
they
Oh
go like they
no.
go like. I was like, come on, man. It was funny, but
Oh,
I'm like, oh my god.
the first time I would laugh, but
Yeah, it was like every time I'm like, okay, we get it.
yeah, yeah, that's a bit much.
Yeah. Um. Overall, though, what would you rate the movie?
10 out of 10, 10 out of 10, 10 out of 10.
I'll get a 1 because no spiders, man.
Yeah, no spiders, man. That is true. That is true. The
Well,
Even if you don't, somehow, if you don't like these two movies, one thing I think that's a fact was, before this one, the Into the Spider-Verse was the most comic booky movie ever. Like, that was a
yeah,
fact. But I think this movie is even more so, because like, one of my favorite things about the movie was it was done in like issues, like a
yeah,
comic book. Like, and they felt like that too. Like, okay, now we're going into the issue where he goes to the Spider Society. Okay, now it's the next issue. And they genuinely felt like story arcs. It
yeah,
was crazy to me. I thought that was like the coolest thing ever.
yeah. I really liked it. Especially like all like the little things that appear in comic books, like the editorial notes, code authority. That was like way back when, but still, uh, I like that. I liked the little expressions that they have, like the exclamation points, uh, the pow, all that stuff. I really liked. I like their facial expressions whenever it's like something like that happens. Like when Spider Man like realizes that she's been like hanging out with a guy named Hobie, and he's like, "Who's
Yeah.
Hobie?" he's getting like all concerned. I'm like, should I know? Should I worry about this guy? um, but yeah, I really liked it. Obviously, give it a 10. It was great. Um, I see a lot of people already saying it's overrated.
Well,
But
there's always going to be those people. I mean,
yeah, I saw this one guy said there's too much representation in this movie.
That's just the dumbest thing I've ever
Like
heard.
I said, like there's not enough white Spider-Man. I'm like, what are you saying?
Yeah, that's whoa, whoa, whoa. That guy
I was
wanted
like,
he
I'm like,
wanted
what
the
do you?
KKK Spider-Man in the in the Spider Society.
I'm like, what do you mean by that? Like, there's too much representation. And then that's a stupid argument.
Yeah,
It's
dumb.
dumb. I really liked it. Out of all of like the main alternate like Spider people, who was your favorite among like Spider-Man India, Spider-Man, Spider-Punk, Spider-Woman, Spider-Gwen, 2099, all of them?
Well, I
Who was
mean,
your favorite? Like the main ones.
like Miles is my answer, but um, Peter B. Parker's great. I think for like as far as the new ones, I would say Spider-Man India. Um, like Jess Drew was like they were all great. Like I didn't think any of them fell flat. They were all really, really, really great.
Yeah, I agree.
But I guess out of the new ones, Spider-Man India. What about you?
It's between Spider-Man India and Spider-Punk.
He
He's I don't know. He's awesome.
dude, I like when I really knew I loved him was the scene when like all the spider people are coming like kind of in on Miles
Yeah.
and he's like he's reminding them like use the palms and then Jess says something like I don't remember what he says and he's like good. Like he's
Yeah, it's like don't like
instigating.
encourage him. He's like don't like yeah. She said something along those lines like you're doing something. He's like yeah, good.
Yeah, good.
I think it's the master instigator. I loved
Yeah.
it.
And dude, I would have been too for Miles. Like I Spider-Man 2099 is right, but like I don't know, like if you're told your dad is going to die, like I don't know, I'm with Hobie there.
Yeah.
I love that part when he's like good. And he like he goes like this, like reminding him to use like cuz earlier in the movie he's like use your palms, it'll
Hmm.
help you do whatever and he goes like this to him. And that's when he
And
yeah.
I like when that happens. He's like, okay, cool, I quit. It goes away.
I'm out.
That was great. I think he's my favorite one. I really liked Spider Punk, and especially like in the one shot when he read Spider Geddon, I really liked him in it. So, and I know he has like a couple of like solo series out there. I think there might be a new one coming out soon, if not one already out right now. But he's awesome. It definitely makes me want to read different Spider people in the comics, like Spider-Man India,
Yeah.
Spider Gwen, Spider Punk. Who else? Spider Noir. I still have not yet read Spider-Man Noir, which I really want to though. And just like all the other ones, I read Spider-Man 2099 Volume One, but I know he has other series, so I kind of want
I
to check
just
those
got you
out.
can see it on the ground. I just got his omnibus.
Oh,
It's
nice!
right,
That's
right there.
sick. That's
Um
really sick.
but yeah, I mean there's no low points for me in the movie.
Yeah.
It's just the way like one thing I'll it just felt so epic. It was the mixture of the animation and the freaking soundtrack towards the end, dude. I was like
Yeah.
I seriously wanted to jump out of my seat and like just
Yeah.
it
Because
just
like
felt so epic.
yeah, and like it's like the music builds up, and then like says like the title of the movie and just cuts away, and I was like, ah,
Dude, yeah, and just like dude, that ending with I love the way like his Prowler outfit, Miles's Prowler outfit in the other universe, and the
yeah,
way he's like his accent's different. It's like I'm Miles Morales. Like
yeah.
the way he says it. I was like, oh shit.
It's really about to go down, and I'm super excited,
His braids, dude. It's just
dude.
it's so
Yeah,
cool.
he looks awesome. He looks awesome. Was it Because I know they tied up Miles on like the punching bag. Didn't Miles do that with Spider Man in the first one? I thought that was a nice little parallel right there.
Yeah, same exact way he did it to Peter B. Parker in um the first movie.
Yeah, it was great. I loved it. 10 out of 10, easy. Can't wait for Beyond the Spider Verse.
There's some other little small callbacks when he is on the train and he jumps with like his feet
Yeah.
off the train. It's like in the first movie when he
Hmm.
jumps off the building in the glass. Um So there's a lot of little callbacks like that. But I mean, it's just it's so good. Like I can't wait to go see it again. Hopefully my audience is better.
Yeah, hopefully. So since we're on the topic of the Spider Verse and more specifically Miles Morales, um, there was you sent me a question. Someone asked this question or this like little statement. Let me read it off to you.
This was in
Uh,
the League of Comic Geeks, the social media website, and I've been seeing this subject pop up a lot on
yeah.
just everywhere. So yeah, go ahead.
So, says here after the downfall of the of the Peter set of comics, I feel like they should do another Beyond scenario, but make Miles the one and only Spider-Man for a time because right now he's the best Spider-Man in comics.
People are like, "What?" Like Peter takes a backseat. We don't have any Peter comics for a while. Also, this is we're just talking about comics here. We're not
Yeah,
talking about anything else. Peter takes a backseat in the comics, and Miles is like the Spider-Man for a good while. That's kind of what this post meant and what a lot of people are saying online.
yeah, because for everyone who's in the know with the current Amazing Spider-Man run, it's awful. It's terrible. I'm not reading it right now because I always see people whenever like the new issue comes out. I always see like what's going on in it, and it just looks terrible because like there's the same thing with like Peter Parker and Mary Jane. Mary Jane's with some dude named Paul, which I think that's hilarious because like the Paul like slander is so funny.
It is really funny. I actually, it was the first series I've ever subbed to and got single issues. I've already stopped getting single issues, but I did it for a while and it was really fun like while I did it. But that was the first one that I did because I was like, oh, a brand new Amazing Spider-Man run.
Yeah,
Um I read a little bit past the Tombstone arc towards the Hobgoblin arc. I I thought that like it's trash, but like it's not like I don't know. It's not complete garbage, but it's trash.
yeah,
um because I've also seen a lot of people on the League Comic Geeks whose opinions I really value that actually have really enjoyed this run. So, everything's subjective. I don't think it's fair to say like if you like it, that is totally justified and good for you. Like that's fine. But I think it's fair to say Miles has just been a better character in the comics for a while. I think that is
yeah.
just a fair statement.
And it's kind of like the same thing with a lot of complaints about the run. It's like they never they've been telling like this they never let Peter grow as a character essentially, and they keep rehashing the same Peter Parker Spider-Man plot points with like him not being able to marry Mary Jane, or like something bad happens or this and that, and like a lot of things where the character of Spider-Man doesn't really develop and hasn't really developed in the past several like decades. I hear that's what I heard from people. Um, and there's a funny tweet with like it's Doctor Manhattan on like on Mars where it says it's 1995. I'm reading the worst Spider-Man story ever, and it's the Clone Saga. And then it says it's 2007. I'm reading the worst Spider-Man story ever, and it's one more day. And then last panel is like it is 2023. I'm reading the worst Spider-Man story ever. It's the current run.
I just think it's so tough when a character has had so much history like Peter Parker Spider-Man
Yeah,
that like I kind of get it. Like there's just so much history and so it's tough. Like I get it. That's why personally I would like to see that happen. I would like to see I think it's good when things like this that just have so much history and to like have a break
yeah,
and like just because a lot of the times when you do that, then when they come back, it's like it feels fresh. You know, you can do new things with the character. It can be really great to kind of take a break from stuff like that. Um, so I wish they could do that, but
well, I feel like they could in a sense because I'm pretty sure they've done it with different characters. Like with Bruce Wayne, and having not Damian, Dick Grayson take up the mantle as Batman. Uh, Wally West taking up the mantle as the Flash for years. So like it's definitely not something that's odd or like something that's new in the comics because it happens frequently. X-23, uh, I think took over for a bit as Wolverine.
I think
Um,
so.
all new Wolverine, I think, by Tom Taylor. I'm pretty sure. So it's nothing that's like outside of the box. It's something that's definitely like possible, and it definitely could be done. But like I know like Miles Morales has an ongoing series right now, so I feel like I would really like that, seeing Miles take over and be like the main front for Spider-Man comics for like a while,
Yeah.
or have like have that happen and like have like little mini series, macro series, like different variations of Spider-Man. Like
Yeah, that's a good idea.
they could do like I know they just did one like a couple like 2 3 years ago. They did a new run on Spider-Man Noir.
Coming out soon is the Uncanny Spider-Man, where Nightcrawler is going to be Spider-Man.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
That's awesome. That sounds pretty cool. So
I'm
exactly,
going.
yeah,
I'm going to buy that first issue, and I think you get them digitally. So I was thinking we could review it because, like, I just want that. That's just
yeah.
Nightcrawler's my favorite X-Men. So I agree. I agree with you. Yeah.
So it like it's just like that. There's like a great example where like just have like different variations of Spider-Man, have like little series, and let Peter Parker like have a break for a bit, and like actually let writers like figure out what they want to do with the character because it's kind of been like the running joke of like they don't know what to do with Spider-Man. They just like rehash the same stories over and over again, and they just do the most obscene things just to keep it for like shock value, I guess. Because I know like for like, the current run, the thing was like Mary Jane being with Paul and like having kids, and then
The
I
kids have
know,
now disappeared. The kids have now
yeah,
disappeared.
and
I
then
I've kind of kept up with the news. Honestly, the main reason I fell off, there was actually some really good moments in the first Tombstone arc. I fell off because of the art. It is bad.
yeah, I feel like with John Romita Jr.'s art, it's very hit or miss because there are times where I like it, but there are more often than not, there are times where it just doesn't really land. Because his
his
earlier art
That's what I was gonna say. His earlier art,
is great, but like right what it is right now, it's very stylized in a certain way, but like it doesn't really appeal to me in a sense.
I don't think
I'm
there's many people it appeals to.
Yeah, and it sucks because like his father, John Romita Sr., was such an iconic artist for Spider-Man,
And
and
he's Junior John Romita Jr. has done Amazing Spider-Man with Straczynski, and he had
yeah,
good art in that run. Like I really liked his art in that run.
hmm
I think it's just his new stuff.
yeah. I feel like it's kind of in the same vein with like Frank Miller and like how his art and they do the art in Daredevil, or was that someone else?
I haven't I don't know. I haven't read Frank Miller's Daredevil yet.
I know he's done 300, which I thought was really good. Obviously, A Dark Knight Returns. His artwork was, you know, the one
Yeah,
of like the main things that was like, great about the comic books. Uh, they did it in his earlier years, but like over like time, it's gotten worse and worse. Like with The Dark Knight Strikes Again, or like the Master Race, and like he just released cover art not even that
I
long ago.
the Wolverine, the
Yeah,
Wolverine.
the Wolverine, the Thing, all this. It looks terrible. It looks awful. I'm like, stop letting this man cook.
I know. He's cooked some 5-star dishes, but I mean, I don't know. I'm not an artist myself, so I don't know how that really happens. I guess they're just trying to change it up, but just not in ways that
Yeah,
are good.
that is true. Yeah, definitely, very very true. Um,
The rebuttal I saw to this post that I didn't even know it was like this, but he was like, that's never going to happen because he showed a graph of like the top 25. franchises that make the most money. And there was like the MCU, and like two spots under that was just Spider-Man. Spider-Man as a franchise makes almost as much money as the MCU. So,
Damn.
and that's what I was saying. I was saying to you, the like off the off air off podcast was, um, even though like this is getting a lot of flack, this series right now, Peter Parker as Spider-Man just sells like
Yeah.
crazy, and I just think Marvel won't do that because he makes so much money. But I do think if there's any time to do it with Miles Morales PS5, the game, and this movie just coming out, Beyond the Spider Verse coming out in a year, now is the time to do it. Like,
Yeah.
Miles is at his peak as a character in popularity right now. He's got a good run going on in the comics,
He had a good video game.
good video game. There's rumors they're going to make a live action Miles. Have you seen that? That
I did see that.
really,
Yeah.
really scares me.
It does. I feel like they're gonna. I feel like Miles is very popular right now, but they're gonna milk the hell out of it. They're gonna do like, I don't know. I feel like they're gonna ruin it somewhere eventually because Miles, as of like right now, he's like the pinnacle of Spider-Man. I would probably say as of right now with like Spider-Man, he's like the most popular Spider-Man there is at
I
this
think
moment right now.
definitely. I think, yeah.
And just like I feel like when Marvel sees that or like when execs sees that, they're like, okay, what can we do like to push more Miles Morales Spider-Man stuff? And like I feel like they're gonna overdo it. And like I see people already doing like fan art of like Spider Verse video game having the Insomniac Miles Morales crossover with Gwen
No, no,
Stacy,
no, no, no,
and
no, no, no.
I'm like, relax, dude.
Yeah, yeah.
like stop. Like you're like
No,
relax. You
yeah,
know, like
no,
you're
no.
doing too much. Let it be what it is right now. Let
I'm just
it.
scared because Sony's their live action movies suck. They suck. They are
Yeah,
all misses. Morbius, Venom 1, Venom 2. I think they are all misses.
that sucks because
And
I saw Morbius twice in the theaters.
that's why I'm scared. If I like it,
Yeah,
it's funny because my complaint has always been with the Sonyverse, like you need a Spider-Man. Like that's their issue. But now I feel like it's almost too late. It's just so trash. What
yeah,
I want to see happen is Tom Holland in the MCU get his new trilogy and have Miles in it for the first like maybe at the very end of the second movie he gets bit, but
yeah.
and then eventually he becomes the MCU Spider-Man. That's what I would like to see. I trust them a lot more than I do Sony.
And it's whenever. Oh man, it's reminded me. Whenever like they do like a new live action thing. Like with like for example with Spider Man, Tom Holland Spider Man, it was canonically confirmed that the kid who helped Iron Man in Iron Man 2, with like the mask, that was Peter Parker.
Peter Parker,
Pe-
yeah.
People are already doing the same thing, like with I forget which Spider Man it was. I think it was the second or third one for Tobey Maguire's trilogy, where he flips over the car and the two kids just like, "How do you do that?" And Spider Man's like, eating your vegetables. And then like the kid's like, "My mom always tells me that. I just never believe her."
People are
People are
saying that's
saying,
Miles.
"Yeah." I'm like, "Come on!" Like not every like kid is gonna be Miles Morales, like Ben Riley, Miguel O'Hara. Like, stop it! like they're just like talking out of their asses at this point.
I think I don't think Marvel will do it because of how much money Peter makes in the comics, but I
Yeah,
think it would be story-wise the best decision. I think it would be really controversial. I think it would piss a lot of people off. Um, but I don't know. I mean, like, I think it'd be worth it.
yeah. It's a risk they should be willing to take because I mean, they can still label it as Spider Man. He's still Spider Man, but just like Miles Morales instead of Peter Parker. And he's very popular right now, so I feel like a lot of people wouldn't be so upset with it if they do it right, if they execute it right. Um,
I think they should call it since okay, I love alliteration. His name's Miles. Name him the Magnificent Spider-Man. The
okay.
brand new number one. Peter, maybe Peter goes on a little I don't know where Peter goes. He goes
he, He dies.
He, he goes, he's like, I'm gonna go figure some stuff out because I've had a rough life. So he's gonna go meditate in somewhere.
He goes to what was the place? Doctor Strange, Kamartaj. He
Yeah,
goes to Kamartaj, just like meditates and just be there. Goes there for a while.
he's
I
gonna
mean,
go. He's gonna
they
go
did it
figure
with
things out.
yeah, and like they kind of did that with like the Miles Morales game, but like Spider-Man's like off and some Karia doing like other stuff, so
Yeah,
they can
he's
easily do that in the comics. Like it's not that
doesn't matter where he is. He's gone. Like,
yeah,
and we could even see, like, I wouldn't even be mad if it's like the games where like Miles is going through some shit and he calls and he's like, Peter, I need some advice, and Peter gives him advice. Like,
yeah,
I'm not saying the guy has to completely disappear.
exactly, yeah. I feel like yeah, they should definitely do that, but they also be very cautious on like how they do it because I don't want them to milk the hell out of Miles Morales content because if they do, it's gonna oversaturate it and like just be like meh.
I think they should just have one, like they do
Yeah,
now, just one Miles run. Just like that's basically what the Amazing Spider-Man is. For most of the time, the Amazing Spider-Man was like and you had off stuff like Spectacular and Web of Spider-Man, but just have one Miles run. And
yeah.
like you said, then have some like offshoots, Spider-Man India and stuff like that.
But hopefully the Marvel execs check out our podcast, they hear our feedback, and they'll take it.
I'm sure. I'm sure.
But yeah. Is there anything else you want to say before we start closing out?
No, man. I don't know. Like it's a great time to be a Spidey fan. It's a great time.
Yeah, a non-comic Spider fan.
True. Besides the Miles
But
run,
besides the Miles one, yeah,
and like I said, there's people who are liking the current Peter run, and if you are, I don't knock you for that. Like you, that's great. If you can enjoy it, like I am happy for you. But it's definitely like the majority opinion that
yeah,
not only is it bad, but Miles is just kind of kicking Peter's ass and storytelling in general.
yeah.
So yeah,
I mean, yeah, same thing. I just hope they would prioritize Miles over Peter right now. Hopefully, they'll reprint some out of print stuff because I'm not sure if it's still out of print, but before Into the Spider Verse, Spider-Man Noir was out of print for like years. So hopefully they'll keep some of those things in print. Hopefully they crank out more Spider-Man India stuff because I know he's a very popular character right now after Cross the Spider Verse, or just like any Spider-Man. Crank out more Spider-Man variants out.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
but yeah, that's about it. I think that's it for our episode today, our Spider Verse related episode today.
yeah. That's all I got.
Yeah. So yeah. If you guys want to check out League of Comic Geeks, definitely do. We're both on there. I am Orion Scott on League of Comic Geeks, and I think you're
Woody
Frank.
307. Woody
Yeah.
307.
Yes. Definitely check us out on there because it's a great place, a great community. You can check out. It's very up to date, like super up to date. It's really nice. You can upgrade to Pro for like only $1.90 a month or $20 annually, which is really good deal. You can talk comics all you want. You can log all your comic books, collection, show it off, list your favorite comic characters, all that stuff. It's a great place to be. And outside of that, where can they find you on the internet?
You can find us on Twitter and TikTok at Comics RTW. I'm going to be announcing a Spider-Man giveaway on TikTok today.
Mm-hmm.
It is going to be 2 Spider-Man trade paperbacks we're going to be giving away. Just announced the last giveaway winner. And on Twitch at Woody307 if you want to check me out there.
Awesome. Definitely check us out on TikTok and Twitter, Comics RTW. I know I'm using Twitter a lot more. Every morning I wake up, go on Twitter on our like account and like do like as much as I can before I get burned down of Twitter and their terrible takes and just like the the awfulness of it.
Twitter is truly an awful place. It's truly a terrible place.
If you want to interact with us on there, feel free to do so. I feel like it's the easiest way, easiest place to do so.
Yeah.
TikTok, honestly, we're crank out a lot of content on there. Like what he said, he's gonna be posting a new giveaway soon today. I'm gonna try to make more content on there. Definitely check us out on those platforms, and you can check me out on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter at Ryan Scott Comics. And obviously check us out on Twitter, Instagram, and on Spotify or YouTube. With that being said, make sure to check out your local comic book shops, support them, and just read comic books because comics run the world. Bye bye.